I'll just click on that. Now, you can view the waiting room. So you look for names that are familiar.
Right.
All right, so I know all these people are in the class. So I go ahead and admit all, let them in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I can admit one at a time. So here's Joe. Luke, Ethan, and him. So you can either just wait, like realistically, you hope that they would all be like there right away, but they're never.
Yeah.
So so like kind of I usually let it populate, make sure I know who it is, just because if not, all right, good morning, everybody. It appears to me that we may have some new students in the class here. So I'm going to kind of review some expectations, and I hope everybody had a first good day back yesterday. I mean, you're still at your house, but or wherever you live, but at least we had school. So typically in the morning here, we get some stragglers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share the warm-up for today. And if you remember right, the warm-up is how we're going to start off class each day, have a little bit of a discussion, and then we'll move on from there. And my goal every day is to go about 30 minutes to give students 15 minutes to get work done and get assignments turned in. So we'll see how we can do today, and I'll keep an eye on it as best as possible. All right, so going to go ahead and share the warm-up today, and it's going to be a little bit differently, just so everybody remembers. The warm-up is going to be worth 5 points each day for participation points, and so it's important that you complete this, and while you do that, I'll be taking attendance as well. So here's how we're going to go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start off with I'm going to work off of some slides, but you're going to actually be posting this to a discussion post. So we're going to go back a little bit to the last couple of weeks of first semester. And so on Canvas, under week number 1 module, I have the following questions or task for you to complete. And that is, make a summative statement about the Renaissance in 10 words or less, and make a summative statement about the Reformation in 10 words or less. Basically, see if you can. If you can't get it in 10 words, less than 15 is ideal. What was the main point of the Renaissance, and what was the main point of the Reformation? Because these two things, global events, are going to affect how we move forward here into what we call the age of exploration. All right. And so this is the question we're looking at today. I'm going to go ahead and show you then on Canvas, just as a reminder, where you're going to find this. So for my class in particular, you'll go to modules, and then you're going to see warm up 1.5, which is right here. You see warm up 1.5. So you click on that. You're going to notice it's a discussion post. I've got no replies yet. And so go ahead and take a couple minutes to come up with a summative statement about what you remember. Because I know even if you weren't in my class last semester, you talked about the Renaissance and the Reformation. Try to come up with a very brief summary, the main idea. Okay. Obviously, this is no one's going to be perfect and no one's going to be exactly the same. So go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to take attendance and we'll come back together. I'm going to put a timer on for 3 minutes. Okay. And we'll see what our responses are in 3 minutes. Just a reminder, you're going to be posting this to a Canvas post. Yours is? Gotcha. Oh, I see. All right, we got about a minute left here. Let's see how many posts we have. Right now, we have 7. So we've got about 16 more to go. All right, let's go ahead and see what we've got here. All right, I've got 18 responses. That's not bad. So there's still 6 of you. So the Renaissance was the exploration of the arts, philosophy, and education. The Reformation was the reform of the Catholic Church. That's pretty spot on. I'm not going to say names here, but that's a great answer. Talented craftsmen, challenge the Catholic Church. Renaissance was the rebirth of learning. Reformation was a split in the Catholic Church. Good. A time when people came out of the Middle Ages. Time when people fought back from the church. Good. Renaissance was a rebirth of the Middle Ages. The Reformation was a major movement in Western Christianity. All right. Rebirth of culture. Attempt to make the church better. Excellent. So most of our responses here were spot on, and they had to do with the idea that the Renaissance and the Reformation were changes to European culture. The Renaissance caused people to think for themselves, and then the Reformation, thus the thinking for themselves, the cause of that was that people realized that the Catholic Church had been abusing its powers and that they needed to kind of shore up their beliefs, and then that caused a split in the church, and that's going to cause this thing what we call rivalries. All right, and so it's important to remember that. I think as we move forward here, that those rivalries are going to cause kind of a what we would call like a snowball effect, where it doesn't just cause rivalries in religion; it's going to cause rivalries in who wants to be most powerful. And since the Pope is no longer the boss per se of these countries that are no longer Catholic, or nation states that are no longer Catholic, it's going to cause people to agree more with their nation state and less with their religion, and just rely on religion like Europe did in the Middle Ages. All right, so for those of you that responded, like I said, that's your 5 points for today, as long as you're still on at the end. So great job. For those of you that are a little bit new to class today, I think I noticed at least one person. Just a reminder, that's the way that we're going to get our participation points for the day. All right, so moving forward, this is going to be the first day that we're going to just go over a few slides and some ideas. And so I wanted to take the screen here and show you where we're going to access this. So this is our first module, week number 1 for this semester. And you just did warm up 1.5, so clearly most of you found that. Today's notes are going to come from week number 1, European exploration and expansion. All right, and so you're going to see the warm up that you just did as a discussion post, and then the age of European exploration and expansion. Okay, so these are the notes I'm going to be going over. You have access to them at any time, meaning you have access to them for a quiz on Friday. You also have access to them, whenever you want to go back and look at them. And so you can either have them on your screen and follow me, or today, and I want to get in the habit of doing this, I've provided what I call a notes chart for the week. So if you click on this notes chart, this is the key ideas that I'm going to be talking about. And so if you can simultaneously watch the slides from my screen and then type in notes in here, that would be awesome. Or if you want to take notes by hand, if that's what you prefer, you can also just use this as the key idea and then write down the significance while I'm going over the notes. Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone understands that that's there. And so today we'll probably only get to new weapons, maybe Prince Henry the Navigator, we'll see. But you have access to this, so you know what the key terms are. When we go back to, let's say, all in person, these ideas will be on the board in the classroom, and so you'll know what you're expected to know for the week. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, so these are the notes chart, which is going to directly follow what I'm going to, we're going to be going over today in class and discussing. All right, cool. Then we're going to move on here and going to take a look at, that went to the wrong screen. Francesca, can you see the warm up on the screen 1-5-121?
No, I can't.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I can't.
Okay, what are you seeing right now? I'm trying to figure this out.
I just see like week 1, semester 2 notes chart.
Okay. All right, let's try this then. I think it went to the wrong thing. Let's try this. I gotta stop the share. It's not liking me right now. I think it's because I added these extra screens. Let's see this. All right. Can you see the slideshow now, which should say the age of European exploration and expansion? You see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, awesome. So, I think most of you have heard the story. Christopher Columbus sailed to the Americas and thus sparked a lot of changes in world history. Now, today we're going to kind of be looking at the how and the why, and try to understand a little bit of the bigger picture of why that happened and how that connects to the ideas that we learned about last semester with the Renaissance and the Reformation, because they all kind of go hand in hand. And so the first thing we need to do is take a look at this map. All right. This was one of the most established maps of the known world for Europeans before 1492. I want you to take a good look at this, and in the chat function, if anyone has any ideas, what do you think is different about this world map compared to the one that we might use today? All right.
It's out of shape.
It is out of shape. It's flat. It's more flat. Good. Are there any more? Somebody posted it's only showing the Middle East and Europe area. Good. Any other observations? What else is missing here?
North and South America.
All right. So, yeah, a couple people said we're missing North and South America here on this map. And this is before the Americas were discovered by the Europeans. Well, technically not totally true, because we know that the Vikings discovered North America, but they didn't establish a permanent settlement. Okay. You'll notice on this map that on the right-hand side, there is India, or what is kind of India, or maybe Indonesia. I thought was over there. India looks kind of like fragmented. But the center of the map is definitely the Middle East. And there was a reason for that. Most of you remember the Fertile Crescent and the idea that the city of Constantinople connected 3 continents. And so what I want you guys to understand of the map of the known world pre 1492 was that they were very inaccurate in their maps, and their knowledge was very incomplete of the world and of the globe. Okay, no one pointed out that there is no bottom part of the continent of Africa. That they talk about Ethiopia interior on the bottom, and there's no one had actually sailed and gone past Ethiopia. Ethiopia was a Christian kingdom. They don't really know where China ends if you look on the right side. So this just shows you the ignorance prior to European exploration. All right, so let's talk about some of the motives then for these Europeans to famously sail the Americas and eventually by the 1900s take over almost 80% of the world. Okay. First off, there was this event called the Crusades, and some of you probably remember it from last semester. But the Crusades caused a lot of tension between Muslims and Christians. And even though the Reformation happened, Western Europe was still predominantly Christian, even though there was different kinds. And the Muslims took the city of Constantinople in the year 1453, and that was a Greek Orthodox Christian city. And thus, they started charging European traders double and triple the amounts of prices or in taxes in order for them to access goods from India and Indonesia. So that rivalry between the Muslims and the Christians was definitely one of the motives to find a new way to get to this access to spices and different kinds of cloth and different kinds of goods, cotton that came from India and Indonesia. All right, we already talked about this, but the Renaissance made people kind of curious to start to think about what else was out there. Remember how Da Vinci and Michelangelo and these men were also scholars at the same time. They were philosophers, and at the same time they were artists. And so this kind of sparked people to think a little bit. The Reformation. If you lived in an area that was Catholic, but you had converted to, let's say, Calvinism, or you had converted to Lutheranism in a Catholic area, you would be kicked out and you would be forced to leave. Where are you going to go? Well, maybe you're like the Puritans and maybe you go to the Americas. Maybe you go elsewhere and try to find somewhere else to go. And so the Reformation, along with missionaries, the Jesuits, there was this idea that this competition between Protestants and Catholics caused them to want to go out and Christianize the rest of the world and their type of Christianity. All right. Now, after the Reformation, then it led to the rise of what we call monarchs. Those are kings and queens. And Europe, for about 1,000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire, had been pretty much goldless and silverless, and had to trade their gold and silver for other goods. And so they had to run out of gold and silver, and they had been trading the same gold and silver back and forth. And so a monarch's value was dependent on how much gold and silver they had. And so if they could find a new source for it, that meant that they were more powerful. All right. Last but not least, then, technological advances that were brought over by the Mongols. If you remember the Mongols, they made, even though they wreaked havoc from China all the way to Europe. They also, in the 1300s, opened up the Silk Trade route and made it the safest it had ever been in history. And so when that happened, if you remember, the Chinese had a lot of products that would allow for Europeans to use them, manipulate them, and make it able for them to explore. All right, so there's a lot of motives here. I think you guys can kind of put it, if we put it all together though, a lot of this is from last semester. This made the Europeans kind of apt and able to explore and kind of ripe to explore outside of Europe. All right, so the only reason they're really able to do that though is the invention of a few important technologies that actually came from other places than Europe. Okay. First off is going to be this thing called the astrolabe. Does anybody know how an astrolabe works? If anyone wants to say it out loud or using the chat function, go ahead. How does an astrolabe work? You know? Okay. The astrolabe uses the position of the North Star because the North Star does not change. It's the same constant everywhere around the world. So you can figure out your position to the North Star, and that can help you figure out which way you're going to sail. Okay. One of the biggest things in the Renaissance was the making of better maps. And so the Portolan map was a more advanced map that showed that there were other things out there in the world that hadn't necessarily been accepted by the Catholic Church. Okay. The compass, okay, which used the magnetic pole from the earth, called the magnetic compass or the mariner's compass, came from China. The Chinese had been using this for close to 1,000 years, but the Europeans would get that during the Pax Mongolica, or the peace of the Mongols, and use that technology to put it on a ship, and that would allow them to try to figure out which direction they were traveling along with the astrolabe. Okay. So these things combined are going to allow sailors, okay, or ship captains to attempt to take more risks to sail further away from the sea. All right. Now, some new weapons and technology and weapons would also have a huge influence. Okay. We take a look at this thing called the European caravel, or the Portuguese caravel. Once you get a good look at this ship, because it looks somewhat similar to a Chinese junk in shape, where it's got a raised backside and it's got a little bit larger interior, like room for cargo, but then it has a square sail, and it also then has triangular sails. And so what the Europeans did was they combined the square sail, which was from China, and the lateen sail, the triangular sail, which was from Arabia, or which was from the Arabs or the Muslims that had traded in the Indian Ocean, and they brought it all together. Then, to make it more deadly and more effective, they threw cannons on it. All right. And the knowledge of cannonry came from the Chinese and gunpowder, and then the Europeans improved it such that they could use cannons to shoot cannonballs against, it's basically, they weren't really effective weapons. They were just scary. Okay. They scared people. And then you'll see below handheld weaponry. which this is one of the first examples of one. The wheel lock pistol, it wasn't very effective. It didn't shoot straight, but it allowed people to, it allowed Europeans to really scare off other people who were using spears and steel swords. The gun was more effective after a period of time. All right, so I'm hitting my time limit of 8:31. What I want to do here is kind of take a pause, and we'll pick up with Prince Henry tomorrow. What I wanted to do is kind of give everybody just a reminder on how our weekly intros work. So I'm going to go to a new share here, desktop 1 or Chrome actually. And you can go ahead and put those notes away for now. And I should be showing you the week number 1 module. I believe that's correct. All right. So if you're new this semester, if you had not picked up a world history textbook, I put the textbook reading on the module each week. And so for this week, we're only reading, I believe, to from 317 to 325. So it's really, most of it's pictures and whatnot, but you're going to be reading until 325 this week. And it stops right here. So it's just the first lesson in this chapter in the textbook. And you're going to be answering the following questions. Okay. We call them intros. So the week number 1 intro due January 7th at 10:30 a.m. looks like this. All right. So it says complete the following questions while reading pages 320 to 325 in your textbook. Upload the answers by 10:30 a.m. on Thursday. So I'll click on this. Here are the questions. I believe there's 12 this week. Yeah, 12 questions. We basically got to questions 1 through 3 today. Tomorrow we'll be covering questions 1 through 7 or 8, and then we'll finish up the other questions on Thursday. All right, so I'm kind of chunking this instead of doing it all in one class period to respect your time. So this is due on Thursday, but I'm going to go ahead and give you 10 to 11 minutes now to just go over the first couple questions that we went over in class. And I'm going to give you the opportunity now to ask questions if you have any. If not, just a reminder on top of this that yesterday, that was Monday, I had asked you to do a reflection and goal setting assignment. I was very happy this morning to see that 63 people had submitted it. Now we're up to 65. So if you are new today or missed yesterday, make sure you do this reflection and goal setting sheet by 10:30 today. That's when we're going to go ahead and grade it and go through all the answers. Actually, Mr. Renshaw right now is going through all of them and trying to get to know you a little bit better. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to let you go. You've got 10 minutes or 15 minutes to your next class to work on this, or you can do it on your own time if you want to. And again, thanks for those of you who participated. Get your 5 points today for the warm-up. If you did not, go in and make your discussion post right now. And everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thanks, folks.
Bye. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Let's see who's around. Jacob and Wesley, you still there? Wesley, you still there?